hour, for about 10 minutes, we're going to have a gentleman who was kicked out of a Texas voting booth for wearing a pro-Second Amendment shirt. The Austin police chief's going to be in studio talking about, do we have the right to refuse any order of a police officer? Well, the Supreme Court and state courts have always said we do, but the police say we got the guns and you don't. This is the New World Order. So I'm always very interested in the fact that he's willing to come in here and get chewed on. But we look forward to that coming up. Also coming up, NATO responds to Russia mobilization over Ukraine. Confirmed Fukushima radiation reaches west coast of Canada. That is just some of what is coming up today. Right now, let's go to Hiram, I believe you pronounce it, in Puerto Rico. You're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Alex. I've been listening to you for about maybe a month or two. And, boy, I see a pattern. I don't know if I'm being paranoid, but I call from Puerto Rico, and I see the government-run healthcare and the militarized police. We've been having that since the early 90s. So when I first saw, like, the outrage about the militarized police, I didn't really get it, but I guess we've been conditioned to that for decades already. And I don't know, even the Agent Orange, back in the day, they tried it here first, Monsanto. They ran tests. I'm not very informed. I've been awake only for, like, 6 months after Snowden revelations.
Oh, you're informed. You're look, it's an illegal spying takeover. It's a criminal government mobilizing paramilitarily against us. And they're getting armored vehicles, you name it, lining up, setting up an epic police state, and then again, training that the number one enemy is gun owners and patriots. Go ahead.
I'm not a gun owner, but I have to tell you, here in Puerto Rico, we have one of the strictest gun control policies you can ever find. I remember my dad, back in the 80s, he needed to wait for like a year or over a year to get a revolver, a .38 caliber revolver. So most law-abiding citizens, they either have a gun or they don't. But, actually I lost 4 friends of mine last year. None of them was killed by a law-abiding citizen gun owner. So I don't think that's going to work. Like,
sure. Well, I mean, the system knows not letting the general public have guns turns you into Chicago or New York, murder capitals, or Mexico. It's because it's a criminal instinct to disarm the slaves. And that's what's happened.
And the other thing I had, I noticed that yesterday you were talking about over-feminized little girls and estrogen mimickers and all that.
Yes.
And I noticed, like, we usually take pride on that, but, like, little girls here, you see, like, 8, 9-year-old girls with breasts and, like, over-developed bodies. And we always take pride on that, but I don't know, maybe I'm being paranoid, but are they using us as guinea pigs for their bigger, more nefarious...
There is no doubt, sir, that it's accelerating the aging process and cutting decades off girls' lives, all the hormones. But again, they want to feminize men, so it doubles down on the women. That's what's happening. I appreciate your call. Good point, sir. From Puerto Rico, beautiful island. Symbols are powerful, and the globalists have hijacked the symbols of America. They've turned them into their own symbols. Well, we are restoring the idea of the true republic, not the counterfeit globalist empire, by promoting the icon George Washington and others. That's why we're rolling out an 100% made in America line of incredible pro-liberty apparel. We are repopularizing liberty. We are helping fellow Americans rediscover what made this country great. We are the spirit of 1776. We are 1776 worldwide. We are all brothers and sisters in arms in the animating contest of liberty in the long march towards humanity's ultimate destiny of freedom. Visit MadeIn1776.com today and vote with your dollars to promote truly made in America, high-quality products, and promote the ideals of liberty. Top pollster in the U.S., Kiev-style revolt coming to America. But the last thing we want there's video of it too, is for the controlled kleptocratic left to hijack that and bring in a really hardcore tyranny. You see, they can create the atmosphere for a revolt and then hijack it. Former presidential advisor says soft corruption will lead to domestic disorder. Pollster and former presidential advisor Pat Cadell warns that the rise of soft oppression and corruption in the United States will facilitate a violent Kiev-style uprising in the streets of America. He's the same guy that said last week correctly that Republican leadership is going after the Tea Party, and that's why they won't investigate the IRS persecution, because they want it to continue. What we're seeing in the world in Kiev is American values at work. These people and the rest of the world are saying, we're not putting up with this, and we'll put our lives on it. And I agree that the Ukrainian government was corrupt, but the last Western-backed government was corrupt too. And George Soros and the West are in there with the State Department stirring it up. It'll end up being worse. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And it starts a confrontation with Russia. We shouldn't be involved, is my point. In this country, a populace equally dissatisfied with its political class and its leadership, we don't have the same overt oppression, but we have a very soft oppression of complacency and corruption, he added. Cadell then made a bold claim of jaw-dropping scenes of rioting their civil war witnessed over the past few weeks on the streets of Kiev were coming to America. And here's the quote. And the American people, what you're seeing there, they need their own outlet for that. It's a warning because it's coming. Full video and more of the transcript up on Infowars.com. I think that's a newsworthy story. And what's also newsworthy and ties into this is what the Southern Poverty Law Center came out a few days ago and said. More than half of white Americans are anti-black, and they use some weird flim-flam numbers that they dug up to say that. Now, you're saying, what does that have to do with revolt in Kiev and the Tea Party? Their only hope socially is to get everybody divided on race, religion, region, sexual preference, make that the issue so all the other rights can be taken, and then we just fight over those and only see discrimination as coming from a racial or religious component, not foreign banks looting us of tens of trillions of dollars a year, not foreign banks getting rid of our due process and looting our bank accounts and stealing our pension funds, not globalists using our tax money to fund all these wars. They don't want us thinking along those lines. They want us only thinking racially. And that's the divide and conquer strategy. They don't want us thinking about things like this either. In Mississippi, 72% of babies aborted are black. 26.6% are white. So you can't get a black organization like the NAACP and all these groups run by the globalists to talk about that. You can't get one Hispanic group to talk about the forced inoculation of every girl in Mexico with Gardasil on record that will cause autoimmune disorders in their reproductive tract and will actually kill a lot of them, and that's on record. Now, see, I don't want unlimited illegal aliens from Latin America here because they're ignorant. They have been dumbed down in a political system of fraud, just like Americans, and they will vote to take my guns. They will vote to go along with the system, and that's on record. But I don't want them to be dead. I care about them. But see, at a racial level, it feels better just to hate me because I'm white. It's like, okay, go ahead and abort the, and go ahead and sterilize the Hispanic women. That's loving and liberal. But if you don't want us to come here and get free welfare and have our babies free and then vote to take your guns, well, then you're a racist. The truth is, I don't like the political mindset of people in Latin America that have been taught that the only way to revolt is AKA Che Guevara communism. The truth is, if you weren't on welfare on average, and if you weren't voting for political collectivism and my enslavement, we need 30 million people from Mexico here because we've aborted the Hispanic, black, and white babies, 55 million of them. So it's what's going on between your ears that I don't like, not the color of your skin. And here it is right here, 72% of black babies aborted, but you're never going to hear the Southern Poverty Law Center that claims they care about black people. Oprah Winfrey is going to be financing a new Martin Luther King movie. You know, that's going to be a bunch of race baiting. They'll probably have Martin Luther King give a speech and say, you know, you judge people on their color and what group they're part of, not on the character of their deeds. Of course, he said you don't judge people on their color, you judge them on the content and character of their deeds and what they stand for. But this is how these groups are operating, erasing history. Let's go ahead and play a clip of the Southern Poverty Law Center with its hundreds of millions a year and taxpayer money and the rest of it that demonize yours truly and others and imply I'm a racist, deeply racist, as MSNBC says. Here they are race baiting, saying half of whites, that's the half that vote Republican, are fundamentally anti-black. Even though they're fundamentally against aborting black babies, they still are fundamentally against blacks. Because, you know, if you want to chop a baby up, a black baby, that's loving and liberal. If you're against it, it's because you're racist. Let's go ahead and go to the race pimp, the race hustler, Potok.
There's polling that shows that both implicit and explicit anti-black attitudes among American whites have gone up quite significantly between 2008 and 2012, to the point where now more than half of white Americans have these anti-black attitudes.
Half of white Americans
I think that's the real evidence.
Are you white? Did you wake up this morning, you're racist? And I know the polls he's talking about, they're in Gallup and others. No, you had a majority of whites that voted to elect Barack Obama. And then everything turned into race baiting, and everybody got told how racist they were. And even liberal, bleeding heart, self-loathing white people are now getting mad and getting sick of being called names, getting sick of being made fun of in the media, getting sick of being attacked because we're white. And people act like white people can't even turn on a light switch. People act like white people are like the dumbest scum of the earth and beat them up, shoot them, attack them, aha, you're white. White people are under attack in this country because the majority is the minorities. You put the minorities together in this country now, they're the majority. And then the majority of women, no matter what color they are, vote for gun control, open borders, total socialism, drones, enslavement. And that's why they think they've won, folks. And now they're going to make it all about race politics. And Homeland Security is for gun owners. Homeland Security is for returning veterans. Homeland Security is for the Tea Party, which they've branded as white, hoping, quote, minorities don't get involved in it and feel welcome in it because we can all be unified around a culture of liberty and get past what color we are. That's what scares the system, is real, liberal, Thomas Jeffersonian type ideas. Dave in Michigan, you're on the air. Welcome.
Alex, Barack, who's not sane, will bomb us.
I think he's pretty sane, though. I mean, you know, he's helping bring down the country for the globalists, doing a great job.
I say Barack, who's insane, will bomb us, and I think he's going to use one of those nukes that he stole and detonated the one off of the coast of the Carolinas. But I called yesterday, and I really thought I'd like to get my info back out because we were in overdrive, and that doesn't get replayed.
Oh, well, listen, here's the deal. I got one pet peeve with callers. Everybody calls and does a call screening with me on air. They say, I want to talk about this. Is that okay? Listen, brother, you're on air right now. Go ahead and make a point.
I'd like to address Kevin again. I think Kevin lost faith in himself. He's been listening for 17. I've been listening for 15. My brother Gordy introduced me to you in 99.
I know Gordy. He used to live down in Austin. He moved back up there, didn't he?
Yes, he still lives in Austin. Kevin lost faith in himself because he hasn't done anything with the information that you put out. I believe your role is a messenger, and you are putting out that info war, and you are turning hearts and minds, and you are doing an awesome job. I'd like to tell you what I'm doing to resist. I'm using your sponsors. By the way, we've been making our own silver for probably 6 years from silverlungs.com, and we learned about them from you. And I haven't been sick, or my family hasn't been sick since we've been making our own silver.
Yeah, no, I've been doing the silver lungs myself.
But before you go see that eye, ears, nose, and throat guy that you got, My brother-in-law saw a good one when he had a sore throat, and he ended up having tonsil cancer. He let them take his tonsils. They poured radiation down his throat. A year later, when he said he was healed, he went back for a checkout, and guess what? He had a growth on his thyroid, which was inconclusive when they checked it for cancer, but he still let him take the growth off of his thyroid. So, you know, people are, and then back to the vaccine. My daughter, thanks to your info, okay, my daughter had my first grandson. He's a year old. He hasn't been vaccinated because of your info. He's never been sick a day in his life. He's been around, you know, at parties, at bowling alleys with sick people all around him, picking him up, playing with his toys, touching them. He hasn't even had a cold yet, Alex, because he hasn't been vaccinated. All his cousins, they've all
Oh, I know. My children are so healthy compared to other children because they haven't been vaccinated. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? The IRS has officially come out on their own website. They have links to it on Infowars.com and said they're going to take money out of your bank account, your paycheck, you name it, with penalties and interest if you don't get Obamacare or pay the $5,000 fine. Harry Reid's response, and the Weekly Standard has the report. In fact, will you guys grab this video? It's pretty powerful. Oh, we have the video? Great, we'll play. Yes, yes. Harry Reid denies all Obamacare horror stories and says all are untrue. Just like there were no death panels, just like you could keep your doctor, just like Obama swore he wouldn't come after any of your guns, not your handgun, not your shotgun, not your rifle. Just like he wasn't going to sign the NDAA. Turns out he wrote it and did sign it. It is an act of total betrayal, hoping that the public doesn't pay attention to what they're doing. Here he is, Harry Reid.
Despite all that good news, there's plenty of horror stories being told. All of them are untrue. But they're being told all over America. The leukemia patient whose insurance policy was canceled would die without her medication. Mr. President, that's an ad being paid for by 2 billionaire brothers. It's absolutely false. Or the woman whose insurance policy went up $700 a month.
Huh.
Ads paid for around America by the multi-billionaire Koch brothers. And the
hold on a minute. Back this up to the beginning. Back it up to the beginning, please. Ladies and gentlemen, my dad, in the last 6 months since Obamacare went in, every 2 months he gets a letter, I've shown him on air, where his insurance goes up 35%. So it's now gone up over 100% in 6 months. He's gotten 3 letters, 35, 35, 35. Do the math. That's over 100% increase. And it is totally outrageous. My insurance through GCN, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota, gone way up. I mean, I can show you the stub. Everybody out there knows it's going up. We showed you the letters from Humana in Texas, where it's gone up 500+%. It's not debated that it's going up. It's not debated. But he just gets up there and says the horror stories are all frauds, and the Koch brothers that funded Bill Clinton, I should add, they're running ads against it. What? Well, Walmart's for Obamacare. I always love the mythical Koch brothers and all they supposedly run when they just hedge their bets and buy both parties. It makes me want to throw up. I just can't handle it anymore. Michigan Democrat Rep. Gary Peters threatens TV station license over Obamacare ad, where the woman simply talks about how she lost her doctor she liked. Remember, first Obama said he never said you could keep your doctor. Then he had, okay, I did say that. I mean, these people just tell such whopping lies. Let's go back to Harry Reid. Here it is.
Despite all that good news, there's plenty of horror stories being told. All of them are untrue. They're being told all over America.
That's enough.
The leukemia patient whose insurance policy...
Well, he sure paused there, didn't he? When he told that whopper. And you know, when you go into court and things, it's all about how you act calm and nice and that you're dressed nice. That's who the jury will go with, not the facts in modern America. What about the facts? Well, it's just Harry's the nice little old man, and he says there are no horror stories. Folks, we told you it was a foreign tax. The Supreme Court ruled that. We told you the IRS was going to enforce it. It was in the bill. It's law. Obama said they wouldn't do it. It's in the news today. The shared responsibility tax with penalties and interest implemented by the IRS. You know, if you don't pay that $5,000 in a year, it'll be like $15,000. And folks, nobody, and hey, when all this happens, they're just going to say, oh, well, that's a minority of people, or, oh, they're just Tea Party people, or, oh, no, this isn't happening to anyone. We're on the IRS website right now, if you're a TV viewer. Questions and answers on the individual shared responsibility provision. This is IRS.gov, okay? The provision applies to individuals of all ages, including children, the adult or married couple who can claim a child or another individual as dependent for federal income tax purposes is responsible for making for the payment if the dependent does not have coverage or an exemption. When does the individual shared responsibility provision go into effect? 2014. They go on to say you will be taxed in 2015 by the IRS if you don't get the insurance and listed on your form. See, they're going to be the new police of everything. That's IRS.gov, Harry Reid. Is that a horror story? Is that real?
You are watching the best of the Alex Jones Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Watch live at Infowars.com/show or become a member of InfoWarsNews.com and help us take resistance to the next level.